Isn't it nice to be a dex holder in the Hoenn region? I sure do enjoy walking around the Hoenn region with my Pokédex. Yeah guys, having a Pokédex in the Hoenn region is the best. Guys? Can I come in now? No, Wally. Get the f*** out of here.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it.
So, yeah, in the manga, Wally kinda got shafted. He wasn't a dex holder, even though he had a full team, and he was Trico's trainer for a while, so yeah, if anyone was done dirty, it was him. Well, regardless, I wanted to see if Wally's team could beat a Hardcore Nuzlocke of the Hoenn region, since in effort to tell a good story, while some of his team is insane, the other half, well...
It's the biggest piece of dog shit. Bruh.
So to start our journey, guess what? Custom sprites are back. It was definitely a little headache to figure out how to do this run, since if we did it in Oras, we could get a Magnezone and an Eviolite for Roselia, but then we'd miss out on walking around the overworld as Wally. I think I found a pretty good compromise though, and I think you guys will like it. So after walking around and enjoying our new look, it's time to rescue Professor Birch, who lets us choose Trico from his bag to defeat the wild Zigzagoon. In the manga, Trico was supposed to be Emerald's Pokemon, but all the weather events caused by Groudon and Kyogre caused a huge flood that swept away his Pokeball. He was lost at sea for a while before being rescued by Wally. Wally helped him recover, and later on, when Wally was training with Norman at Sky Pillar, Trico would end up rescuing Wally too, catching him as the floor underneath him gave way and holding the two of them up with his sticky gecko hands. Later on, he would evolve into Grovyle, but after awakening Rayquaza, the two of them would get separated again as Rayquaza blasted them apart when he took off to the sky. So we won't be evolving past Grovyle, but I'm not expecting that to be an issue, since we should have our other team members by then. So after taking out Sapphire and her starter Chick, we can officially start our journey as we make our way over to Petalburg City. We go and talk to Norman, but before we can ask him to train us, we can see the casualty of playing as Wally, as Ruby's the one who barges in to ask for Norman's help. His colors are all messed up, which is something I couldn't fix without ruining a lot of other NPC colors. So after following this monstrosity to the tall grass, he teaches us how to catch a Ralts, and with all the tutorial stuff out of the way, we can head back into the grass to catch our very own Ralts. In the manga, Ruby lent Rara to Wally to help him catch his first Pokemon, who was actually his Kecleon. The three of them got separated by an earthquake, and Wally ended up taking care of Rara for the time being. He helped her evolve into Kirlia before ultimately returning her to Ruby later on. So with all our possible encounters at this point, we don't have anything else to do but to head in and take on our first gym challenge. Roxanne leads with Geodude as we're starting the battle with Shelly, and with the Bullet Seed TM conveniently gifted to us before the gym, we can connect for an easy 2-hit to take her out. Her following Geodude meets the same fate to a 2-hit Bullet Seed, and her Nose Pass, even though she's a little tankier than the rest of the team, also gets swiftly cleaned up by a few attacks, meaning we've just won our first gym badge without breaking a sweat. After the battle, Trico evolves into Grovyle, but before we can do anything else, the Devon Corporation needs our help dealing with Team Aqua. So we can make our way through the routes, rescuing Pico from the Aqua Grunt, and after retrieving the Devon parts, we can now sail with Mr. Briny towards Dewford Town. There's a new gym here, but this upcoming battle's gonna be a tough one, since our level cap is 19, and Tara can't evolve into Kirlia for the stat boost until level 20, so with no new encounters, it's looking kinda bleak. But we are rocking the powerful Confusion, and all we need is for the AI to mess up a little and set up at the wrong time. So with all our prep done, we can head in to take them on. Brawly leads with Machop as we start with our hard counter Tara. We can immediately outspeed as our Confusion nearly takes him out, while Machop only goes for a Seismic Toss. That's set damage, so even after Brawly heals, we can just take him out with a few more hits. Makuhita comes out next, but since his only damaging move is Focus Punch, we can just stay in and break his focus with Confusion until we take him out. That only leaves Makuhita, and a Confusion nearly one-shots him. I swear, if we had just a little more special attack, this whole fight would be free, but Wally's AI just made it free by going for a bulk up. I guess he didn't see the kill, so he wanted to set up. So despite the citrus recovery, we can just connect with another confusion to take him out, winning us the battle and letting us collect badge number 2. With our increased level cap, Tara evolves into Curlia, so with everything complete, we can sail with Mr. Briny to Slateport to make our way towards the next gym challenge. On the way there, we also stop Team Aqua at the Slateport Museum as Shelly completely wipes their team with our grass coverage. So far, our 2 team members have both been from other teams, with Trico from Emerald's team and Ralts from Ruby's team, but that's soon gonna change. There's an infamously hard rival fight coming up, and with our 2 team members, it's definitely not possible. Sapphire's Torchic is now a Combuskin, and considering that's super effective into Shelly, and Tara's base stats are worse than Trico's, I'm not kidding, look it up, the run would basically end here. So to help out with our viable encounters and to make this run actually doable, I decided to change the encounter pool here, moving Magnemite out of New Mauville and having them populate the grass here. That way, we can have access to him before beating Norman, since that's when you normally get the Surf HM. So my headcanon is that New Mauville is now booming with life, and it's even seeping out into the neighboring routes, hence the Magnemite here. We catch one and name him Tick, and in the manga, Wally didn't catch his Magnezone until the Oras arc, so it's nice that we can get him early. Of course, we can evolve into Magnezone, but since the in-game Wally had a Magneton on his team, I feel like it's a nice compromise. So with our new team member, I was feeling pretty confident to take on Sapphire. She leads with Wingull, so we can start with Tick for the hard counter. A Thundershock can easily take care of her lead as Sapphire sends out Combuskin, which is the whole reason why I was so scared. He threatens Ember and Double Kick, so our best bet is to switch into Tara. Unfortunately, we do get hit with an Ember, but after tanking another one, our Confusion can nearly take him out, as our Oranberry recovers a bit of HP. This puts us in range of surviving another one, and we just barely survive on 1 HP as another Confusion can take out our chicken. Truthfully, since we can't evolve into Gardevoir, I was prepared to let Tara go down for a safe switch, but luckily we didn't have to do that. That only leaves her remaining Lombre, but Shelly can come in and clean up with a few Bullet Seeds, meaning we've just dodged this potential run ender. That means we can make our way into Mauville City, and after dealing with this little glitchy problem, we can easily take out his Ralts, and now that the neighboring routes are available to us, that's where our next change comes in, as I've reintroduced Roselia back to the population here. It never made sense to me that Roselia was an encounter here for Ruby and Sapphire, but in Emerald, which is supposed to be the definitive version, Roselia is just gone from the game. So yeah, I just added his encounter back here. In the manga, Roselia was part of Wally's team when he found Trico, and he actually helped him recover with the help of his aromatherapy. And so, with all our encounters taken care of, we headed into the gym to take on the next challenge. Watson leads with Voltorb as we're starting with Tara, and since all electric moves are special in Gen 3, we start the battle by tanking a Spark before setting up with a Calm Mind. Our mediocre stats need any help they can get, so after tanking another hit, we can fire back with the Psychic from the game corner for a one-shot. We were holding a Cherry Berry in case of any paralysis shenanigans, so as the Electrike comes in, he only wastes a turn going for Howl, meaning another Psychic can one-shot him as well. Watson sends out Manectric next, so after tanking a Sonic Boom, we can fire back with a +1 Psychic for pitiful damage. I opt to switch into our newest team member Rosa on the resisted Shockwave, and after setting up a Leech Seed and paralyzing him with Stun Spore, we can safely set up with Growth as Magneton tries to paralyze us back with Thunder Wave. But our held Cherry Berry can keep us healthy, so before he can paralyze us again, we can just take him out with a Mega Drain. But Magneton tanks the resisted hit. He fires off another Thunder Wave, crippling our speed as the Seeds finish off his final notch of health. So as Watson sends out his Ace Manectric, you might think we're in danger, but we're actually totally safe to stay in and set up another Leech Seed. Manectric is only going for Howl, so after he uses Quick Attack, our Poison Point even activates, poisoning him as we can continue chipping away with Mega Drain. Eventually, we do have to switch out though, and we've got the perfect answer in our Tick, since we can resist both Quick Attack and Shockwave. So a few Sonic Booms later, with the Leech Seed and Poison taking away from their health, we can secure ourselves a fairly simple victory, taking out Manectric and winning us a pretty simple badge number 3. Hey, real quick, I just want to remind you that if you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to leave a like. It's totally free for you, and you can always remove your like later on if you change your mind. It's like a treat for me, you know? Like if your dog does a trick well, then you'll give him a treat. So if I make a video well, then you can give me a like. I guess all YouTubers are kind of like your personal entertainers, so don't be stingy with those likes, okay? It really helps us out. Anyway, back in our playthrough, we've got to make our way through the routes, heading up the volcano and towards the upper half of Hoenn. After passing through Fall Arbor Town, we can head down the path here towards Meteor Falls, and on the way there, we can catch our 5th team member, a Swablu I named Poco. In the manga, Wally revealed he had caught Altaria at the same time he revealed his Magnezone, and with his 2 airborne Pokemon, he had Altaria catch Ruby to save him from falling out of the sky. And with our new team member, we've got a vital immunity for the upcoming boss battle, as we've got a safe switch in for Maxie's Camerupt. He leads with Mightyena as we're starting with Tick, and even though he lowers our accuracy with Sand Attack, causing our Thunder Wave to miss, we can just stay in, sponge another accuracy drop from a second Sand Attack, sir, a second Sand Attack has hit the Magnemite, and paralyze him on the next turn. Then we can switch into Rosa as we set up the Leech Seeds and start stacking growths. With our Oranberry to keep us healthy, we can set up to +4 as Mightyena struggles to get an attack in, and despite our accuracy drops, with our Magical Leaf that bypasses accuracy, we can take out his lead as we're in a pretty good position for the rest of his team. Maxie sends out Camerupt next, and with our +4 special attack, we can just barely take him out in one shot, which, yes, is something that I did a rough calc for, which is why I needed Tick to paralyze his lead to preserve Rose's health so we could safely set up to +4. So with that big threat out of the way, Maxie's final Zubat is easily handled by Tick with a single Thunderbolt, meaning we've just passed this difficult checkpoint and set back Team Magma's plans. Now, it won't always be this easy taking on fire types, because looking at our team, it's pretty obvious we've got a glaring weakness here. Shelly, Tick, and Rosa will get melted by an overheat, and meanwhile, Tara and Poco have such low base stats that they'd get melted just as easily. So for the upcoming gym fight, we've only got one strat to beat our team, and with everything else prepared, we might as well head in to take her on. Flannery leads with Numel as we're starting the battle with Rosa. So on turn 1, we can paralyze her with a Stun Spore as Numel fires back with an Overheat. That's exactly what I was afraid of, but I did a rough calc and we just need to dodge the crit. We're able to hang in there, so since that lowers Numel to -2 special attack, we can switch into Tara to start setting up with Double Team. This is definitely a cheese strat, but this is literally the only option available to us. It's not even guaranteed, since Numel actually sets up Sunny Day to connect with a Sun Boosted Overheat, but since they keep lowering the special attack and the AI doesn't want to switch, we can safely stay in and continue setting up. The Double Team is only here so we can dodge Magnitudes, but eventually we get to +6 evasion, then +6 with Calm Mind, and then at this point we can finally start sweeping. Numel goes down to a Psychic, Slugma gets outsped and taken out by a single Psychic, Camerupt, who I was the most scared of, also gets outsped and one-shot by another Psychic, and lastly, her Ace Torkoal gets outsped and taken out by a single Psychic, meaning we've managed to get past the toughest challenge of the game with only half of the Hoenn region left to conquer. As we leave the gym, Sapphire meets up with us and gives us the Go Goggles, meaning we can finally step into the desert to pick up 2 more encounters. We actually got a random full odds shiny Sandshrew, which I was not expecting at all, and it would be so cool to bring this green guy onto the team, but Wally never used a Sandshrew on his team, so... Well, with that little distraction out of the way, we can catch our 2 team members we were looking for, the first of which being a Trapinch named Colt. In the manga, Wally's Flygon was actually Norman's Pokemon, but after the 2 of them trained together at Sky Pillar, Norman decided to let Wally keep him as he had mastered their training together. Our other encounter here is a Cacnea named Spike, which would make that 3 grass types on the team, so we've got to do a little rearranging here. In the manga, Wally had his Cacturn with him when they found Trico, and he was the one who ultimately saved Trico, as Wally had him use Needle Arm to catch Trico's bag in order to rescue him from the ocean's currents. That's all our encounters for now, so after booting Tara off the team to make room for Spike, we can get one last evolution in as Tick evolves into Magneton, but with nothing else left to take care of, it's time to head in to take on our next gym challenge. Norman leads with Spinda, but since we're starting the battle with Tick, we can actually outspeed and fire off a Stab Thunderbolt, which ends up being a one-shot. Spinda gets taken out without a sweat, as Norman panics and sends out Slacking, but we actually resist all of his moves. Slacking goes for a yawn, making us drowsy as Tick fires back with another Thunderbolt, which is just shy of the 2-hit KO. I know we're about to fall asleep, but Slacking's gonna loaf here, so I decide to stay in and fire off another Thunderbolt, bringing him to the red as a Citrus Berry puts him out of heal range. We do fall asleep, but a held Chesto Berry can play around that as we immediately wake up. On the next turn, Slacking goes for a Facade, but we can easily tank it as we take him out with another Thunderbolt. Vigoroth comes out next, but our strategy is unchanged as we tank a Slash and connect with another Thunderbolt, which surprisingly gets another clean one-shot. That only leaves Linoon, but he makes our job easier as he goes for a Belly Drum, cutting his HP in half and letting us finish him off with a final attack, winning us the battle as we collect a fairly simple badge number 5. And so, with Surf now unlocked, we can make our way to the other half of Hoenn, where we've got some Team Aqua story to take care of. By the way, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel like this little trek of the journey is super forgettable. The routes going through here are way too long, and the end result is just the Weather Institute. I feel like this should have been shrunk down to help with the pacing, or just have more stuff to do here, cause right now, it's just a route that everyone passes through and that's it. Well, regardless, we can head into the Weather Institute as our triple grass coverage completely wipes the floor with their water types, and our Spike even evolves into Cacturn to help take care of Shelly's Carvana. We didn't even learn any grass moves yet, but Carvana is so frail that a single feint attack takes him out. Then Tick can finish off the Mightyena, so we've just foiled Team Aqua's plans for now as we can finally make our way towards Fortree City. Our next gym challenge is here, but before we take her on, we've got one last encounter to round out the team, and it's actually Wally's very first Pokemon. Steven lends us the Devon Scope, letting us catch the wild Kecleon on the bridge, and in the manga, Kecleon was actually Wally's first ever Pokemon, whom he had caught with the help of Ruby and Rara. When they were rescuing Trico, after Cacturn had pinned the bag to a rock with Needle Arm, Kecleon was the one who used his long tongue to grab it, bringing Trico to safety onto their raft. So with Kecleon caught, we've now got our full team, so I replaced Shelly to make room for our new guy. Kecleon's one of those normal types that learns basically every TM, so we can get some good use out of him despite how mediocre his regular moveset is. And what better way to put that up to the test than to take on the next gym leader? So with all our TMs taught and our team leveled up, it's time to head in to take her on. Winona leads with Swablu, so we're honoring the mirror matchup by leading with Poco. And right off the bat, we can outspeed and fire off a super effective Ice Beam, nearly taking them out and also getting a clutch freeze in the process. It wasn't really needed, but as Winona wastes a heal, we can just take her out with a couple more Ice Beams while staying at full HP. Tropius comes out next, and our stats just aren't up to par as a quad effective Ice Beam just barely misses out on the kill, which gives Tropius the opportunity to set up a Sunny Day. So now that his Chlorophyll kicks in, he can outspeed and hit us with a weak Aerial Ace, but one Ice Beam later and he's taken care of. Winona sends out Pelipper next, but we can very safely switch into Tick as she goes for her court-mandated Protect. Then, a single Thunderbolt can easily one-shot her bird out of the sky. That means Altaria's up next, who's threatening the quad-effective Earthquake, so we can very safely switch into our newest team member Leon, who can tank the hit quite comfortably as we fire back with the quad-effective Ice Beam, which doesn't kill thanks to our garbage stats. At this point, I know Winona definitely heals, and our Citrus means we'd survive another hit, so I just have Leon stay in and fire off another Ice Beam. That brings her to the red, meaning Leon's gotta tank one final Earthquake, which we do very comfortably. So one final Ice Beam and her ace goes down, leaving only her Skarmory. But Leon can bow out now as we send Tick back in to finish the battle with a Thunderbolt, taking out her Metal Bird and winning us the 6th gym badge. So with Winona defeated, we can head east and make our way through the routes, including stopping by Mount Pyre to stop Team Aqua. With all these trainers to battle and our increased level cap, we have a noteworthy evolution as Poco evolves into Altaria, and with Team Aqua defeated and the old couple rescued, we can head back towards Jagged Pass to stop Team Magma from waking Groudon. And with all the trainers here, Colt also evolves into Vibrava, so with the second immunity to Maxie's Camerupt thanks to our Levitate ability, the fight's not gonna be difficult at all. Maxie's kinda stupid because he tries to use the blue orb to wake the red legendary, which causes Groudon to fly out in anger. And in a fit of rage, Maxie challenges us to a fight, but it's not difficult at all as Tick takes out Mightyena with a few Thunderbolts, which baits Camerupt to use Magnitude, but we can switch into our new evolution Colt to show off our Levitate immunity. And this is why Levitate is so cool, because we can use Dig going literally underground and Magnitude still won't affect us. Of course, his AI will never click it, but a few digs can take out his ugly cow as Maxie sends out his last Pokemon, his Crobat, but a quick switch into Tick and we can zap him out of the sky with a Thunderbolt, defeating Maxie as Team Magma is dealt with for now. So with Groudon unleashed, we've got to head after Team Aqua, and after witnessing them steal a submarine,
and I've broken some rules to make this,
we need to follow them back to their hideout to try and stop their plans. Their admin Matt tries to stop us.
Don't forget to become a bud and hit that sub.
But this guy has probably the worst team, proportionally for where you fight them in the story. Tick takes care of his Mightyena with Thunderbolt, and then against his Golbat, we do the exact same to win the battle. I know he's not Archie, but pacing-wise, after we just fought a Crobat, it's a little odd to have such a pushover battle. That's enough story for now though, as we've still got a gym challenge to take on. Our next one is across the ocean, so we can make our way over to Moss Deep City to take them on. Tate and Liza are a doubles battle, and they lead with Xatu and Claydol against our Spike and Poco. I know they're psychic trainers, but their secondary types have so many exploitable weaknesses, and not to mention, our Spike is completely immune to their psychic moves. So we start the battle with an Ice Beam into Xatu, getting a critical hit and scoring an easy one-shot. They send out Solrock next, but I actually had Spike go for a feint attack into the Solrock slot. We nearly take him out before he can even attack, as Claydol foolishly goes for an Earthquake, which was their main strat anyway, but we can take a page from their book and bring Poco for the flying immunity, and also Spike for the grass resist. So the rest of the battle is a pretty easy cleanup, as Spike finishes off Solrock with another feint attack, Poco finishes off Claydol with an Ice Beam, and the two of them finish Lunatone with a Dragon Breath and feint attack combo, winning us a very simple badge number 7. So with the gym battle knocked out, Team Magma now storms the Space Center, so it's our job to team up with Steven to take them out. We easily handle them with our team of Pokemon that totally should have been pseudo-legendaries, and now that we've fully earned Steven's trust, he gives us the Dive HM so we can chase Team Aqua to the Seafloor Cavern.
I'd like to be remembered as an innovator.
Bruh.
So after clearing through the puzzles here, we find Kyogre at the depths of the cave, but Archie runs out and challenges us to a fight, thinking we were here to steal his catch. Like his admin before him, it's not a tough battle, as Tick takes out Mightyena and Crobat with a single Thunderbolt each, and despite his Sharpedo's best attempt to stop us with swagger shenanigans, we're able to attack through it and one-shot him with a Thunderbolt as well. But Archie, being the sore loser he is, still activates the Red Orb, causing Kyogre to fly out in anger as well. It's total mayhem on the surface, so as Maxie and Archie scurry away to hide out from the disaster they've caused, Steven catches us and tells us there's one possible out to this conundrum. Even though the two Titans are fighting in Sutopolis, and by fighting I mean having the ultimate staring contest, we can follow Steven into the Cave of Origin, finding Wallace and learning about Sky Pillar. We're just the man for the job, since we started off by training with Norman in Sky Pillar, so we're very familiar with the rough terrain and all the challenges here. So after climbing the tower, we're greeted by the Lord of the Skies himself, as Rayquaza wakes from its slumber and flies off into the sky. Also, I guess canonically, this is where we lose Grovyle, so it'll be no time before Emerald meets him in the battle frontier. Arriving back at Zootopolis, we witness as the serpent puts an end to the fight with what looks like a hyper voice.
Actually, Rayquaza can't learn Hyper Voice in Gen 3.
Well, apparently, starting in Gen 4, he does learn Hyper Voice as part of his regular learn set, so I wonder if that's meant to be a callback to this moment. Well, regardless, with the weather event stopped, we can finally finish off our gym challenge as only one more gym leader stands in our way. And since our level caps increased, Colt can also evolve into Flygon, and after making our way through the ice puzzles, it's time to take them on. Juan leads with Love Disc as we're starting the battle with Leon. And despite our mediocre stats, Love Disc's stats are even more mediocre, so we can just one-shot her with a Thunderbolt. Whiscash comes out next, so we've got to switch out now, and Spike is literally the perfect counter to his fish. His only attacking moves are Water Pulse and Earthquake, so we can very safely stay in and set up the Leech Seeds. And after getting to +6 with Growth, the rest of his team falls victim to our overpowered Cactus. Whiscash goes down to a single Giga Drain, Celio also gets easily one-shot by another Giga Drain, Kingdra actually outspeeds thanks to a Swift Swim and goes for the double team, but another Giga Drain actually crits and takes him out. But we also did have Feint Attack if that got out of hand, so we weren't in any real danger. Then his remaining Crawdaunt is also one-shot, meaning our little Cactus has just swept through the rest of the fight, winning us our 8th and final gym badge. And so, with one last challenge ahead of us, we got ourselves ready to head through Victory Road, where we also take out that Ruby glitch from earlier. His team isn't difficult at all, as Poco takes out his lead Altaria with the quad-effective Ice Beam, his follow-up Delcatty with the Dragon Breath, his Magneton with the Flamethrower, his Roselia with another Ice Beam, and lastly, against his Gardevoir, we can bring out Spike to take him out with a Feint Attack, meaning we've only got a straight trek left through the caves for our last challenge. And with Victory Road behind us, we make our way into the final halls for the last gauntlet before us. Can our half-good, half-bad team carry us through the upcoming fights? Let's find out. First up is Sydney, who leads with Mightyena as we're starting with Tick. And since our level cap is 9 levels higher than his lead, we can easily take out his team as Mightyena falls to a single Thunderbolt, his follow-up Crawdaunt gets outsped and meets the same fate. His Shift Tree actually resists our attack, so I switch out into Poco to take him out with an Ice Beam. But Shift Tree tanks it on 1 HP and retaliates with a Swagger, so on the turn the AI heals, we can switch into Leon, who also just barely misses the kill. But after Shift Tree only hits us back with a Torment, we can just take him out with one more hit. Sydney sends out Cacturn next, and even though we can't use Ice Beam, we can just switch to Flamethrower for another easy one-shot. That only leaves his Absol, but he's no match for our Ice Beam plus Flamethrower combination, as we can two-shot his ace, winning us the battle and making that 1 down with 3 to go. Next up is Phoebe, but with Spike on the team, I'm not scared of her at all. She leads with Dusclops as we start with Tick, and after Dusclops goes for her court-mandated Protect, we can tag her with the Thunder Wave on the next turn as Dusclops makes our job easier by going for a Curse. That cuts her HP in half, so that's a great moment to bring out Spike, who can set up the Leech Seeds as well as a couple Growths. So a Giga Drain can finish off her lead while regaining back some health, and since all Dark moves are special in Gen 3, our Feint Attacks can just sweep through the rest of her team, taking out her second Dusclops in 1 hit, along with her Banette, her Sableye, even though her Dark typing makes it a neutral hit, and lastly her second Banette, making it a pretty simple sweep of the second Elite Four member. Third up is Glacia, but with Tick on our side, we're gonna have a pretty easy time tearing through her team. Her lead Celio gets one-shot by a Thunderbolt, which immediately brings out Walrein. Walrein actually outspeeds us and lands a fairly decent Surf, but we can tank it and fire back with another Thunderbolt, which despite Walrein's strong defenses, can get another simple one-shot. Glalie comes out next, and since we don't have the tools to deal with him, I switch into Leon, who eats an Ice Beam on the switch-in as we actually get our type changed thanks to our ability. That means we're gonna resist any future Ice Beams, so we can safely set up a sub and then take her out with a Flamethrower. Glacia sends out Celio next, and while Tick can definitely one-shot her, I don't want to waste this perfectly good sub, so we just stay in and use Thunderbolt. It doesn't do that much damage thanks to a light screen Glalie had managed to set up earlier, but since Celio only goes for a hail, we can continue staying in and going for our Thunderbolts. Eventually, the light screen wears off, meaning we can deal more damage and finally take her out, leaving only Glalie, who actually outspeeds us and nails us with a Shadow Ball. That causes us to change into the Ghost type, so even though we can chunk her down with a Flamethrower, we've got to switch out on the next turn to avoid the super effective hit. I bring out Tick for the resist, and one Thunderbolt later and we're in the clear, taking out her final Pokemon and making that 3 down with 1 to go. That only leaves Drake, the Dragon-type master, so as he leads with Shelgon, we can start the battle with our own dragon in Poco. So after Shelgon goes for his court-mandated Protect, we can just outspeed and take him out with a single Dragon Breath on the next turn. Drake sends out Altaria next, but since we're pretty speedy, we can outspeed and fire off a quad-effective Ice Beam for another one-shot. The AI here is pretty bad, as they love sending out Pokemon who are weak to you, I guess as their way to make the game a little easier, so we can take out his follow-up Flygon with another quad-effective Ice Beam. Drake then sends out a Salamence, who actually outspeeds us and fires off a Dragon Claw. It chunks us pretty low, but Poco, the absolute GOAT, tanks the hit and fires back with another Ice Beam, securing the one-shot and only leaving one final threat to face. Drake sends out Kingdra, and our Citrus Berry actually procs now, so we can get a little chunk of health back. That means we can stay in and use Dragon Breath, bringing them to below half, and since Kingdra's Body Slam doesn't get the para, we're safe to stay in and use one final Dragon Breath, finishing off the Seahorse and winning us the final Elite Four battle. That only leaves one last challenge in this gauntlet, that being Champion Wallace himself. But with 3 hard counters to his water types, I think our little team's got a fair shot. He leads with Wailord as we're starting the battle with Leon. I wanted to use Leon since we outspeed and can immediately cut his health in half with the Thunderbolt. That also cuts the damage of a potential Water Spout, so we can tank it as our color change actually changes us to the Water type. So after taking out his lead with another Thunderbolt, our new Water typing now baits out Ludicolo. And that's exactly what I wanted, since he's the perfect setup fodder for Spike. Ludi tries to set up Double Team, but we can start setting up with Growth, getting to +6 special attack. And once again, since Feint Attack is a special move that also can't miss, we can bypass all of his evasion boosts as we take him out. Wallace then sends out Milotic, but a +6 Giga Drain easily one-shots the Serpent while getting all our health back. Then his Tentacruel falls to a single Feint Attack, his Whiscash goes down to a quad-effective Giga Drain, and lastly, his Gyarados gets taken out by another Feint Attack, meaning Spike, with a little assist from Leon, has just swept through the entire champion fight, crowning us as the new champions of Hoenn. But the game's not done yet. Everyone knows Champion Wallace is a pushover with any electric or grass coverage. The real challenge of Emerald is taking on Steven in his secret fight in Meteor Falls. It's definitely going to be a tricky one, as Steven breaks from the Monotype and has a well-balanced team, but with everything ready, we got ourselves ready for the toughest fight yet. Steven leads with Skarmory as we're starting with Tick. I guess our Thunderbolt is just too scary, because instead of setting up with a layer of spikes, Steven opts to go straight for the Steel Wing. It hardly does any damage, as a Thunderbolt easily fries his lead out of the sky. This always baits out Aggron next, since he sees a super effective Earthquake, so I switch into Colt for the Levitate immunity. Then a quad effective Earthquake manages to break through Aggron's high defenses, very narrowly securing the one-shot. This causes Steven's AI to panic and send out his ace Metagross, his powerful pseudo-legendary and backbone of his team, but Colt's not scared. We stay in and fire off another Earthquake, and man, Metagross is just way too bulky because despite the stab, despite being super effective, it only does about 2/3 of his health. His supercomputer, in return, then misses a Meteor Mash, so after he heals up a little with the Citrus Berry, we can just take him out on the next turn with another EQ. That means Steven's gonna send out Claydol next, so that's the perfect opportunity to bring out Spike. We can fire off powerful Feint Attacks as we tank their resisted Earthquakes, and after setting up a little with Growth to offset their Light Screen, we can just take them out with a combination of Feint Attack and Giga Drain. Steven then sends out Armaldo, so before he can get out of hand with stacking Ancient Power boosts, we switch into Tick on a weak Aerial Ace and start blasting with Thunderbolt. The first one brings him real low, so despite Steven's best efforts to heal with full restores, we can just take him out with a few more hits. That only leaves his final team member, his Cradilly, which is genuinely one of the scariest Pokemon on his team, since in our playthrough as Emerald, he was the last mon standing, but somehow managed to stack 2 Ancient Power boosts, healed up with Ingrain and Giga Drain, and then proceeded to reverse sweep our entire team. So, learning from our mistakes, I have Tick paralyze him to cut his speed, and then we can bring out Poco for the Ice Beam. The first one brings him to below half, and after he confuses us, I'm not playing around with confusion into Ancient Power boost, so I switch into Colt to tank the hit, and since we can easily tank it with our ground typing, I even have Colt fire off a Dragon Claw for good measure. It does a respectable amount of damage as our para from earlier pays off. Cradily gets fully paralyzed, so one final Dragon Claw can seal the deal, taking out Steven's final Pokemon and proving once and for all that we can indeed beat Pokémon Emerald with Wally's team, despite half the team being a little lackluster in the stat department, since they more than make up for it with their TMs and move pools. And of course, not to mention the 2 Dragon powerhouses we had in our back pocket. I think some of these fights would have been impossible if Wally took a page out of Gold's handbook and brought, I don't know, Nosepass as his last Pokemon? Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end of the video. If you liked it, I would definitely recommend you check out my playthrough using Platinum's manga team. Her team was straight up just dogshit doo-doo, like she had a Cherim and a Pachirisu. But I honestly cooked up the best strategies of my life playing as her crappy team. Like, we used Foresight for the Fantina fight against her ghost types, and then later we did the same for Cynthia's Spiritomb, so our fighting type attacks could be super effective. It was definitely one of the most fun challenges I've ever done. I think if you like this video, you should check it out. Alright, see ya!